You are listening to Exopolitics Today with Dr. Michael Salla, your source for the uncensored truth regarding the human, extraterrestrial, social, global, and political agenda. Click the like button and subscribe to this channel. Visit exopolitics.org and sign up to receive our email notifications, news, and information. Be informed and be aware with Exopolitics Today. And now, here's Dr. Michael Salla.
Well, I'm delighted to welcome back Elena Danaan to Exopolitics Today. And Elena's going to walk us through some really amazing experiences that she's had on Ganymede and with this organization called the Intergalactic Confederation and the Council of Nine. So a lot of information. So welcome, Elena.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you for having me.
Well, it really is a lot of information. So I think we should just dive into this. And you were so kind as to send me a timeline so that I can address that and get you to answer questions. So look, your experiences with Ganymede began in October 2020, where you went there and you had an encounter, and you describe it in your book, We Will Never Let You Down. So why don't you tell us what happened in October 2020 regarding Ganymede?
Well, sometimes, I am beamed on board Thorhan ship. Sometimes you want to show me something or teach me about something. And this time he took me and we were going towards Ganymede, and he had an appointment with an officer there, an extraterrestrial person belonging to the Ginvo race. They are part of the Council of Five. The Ginvo, they are slightly smaller than us, and they have bigger head and smaller neck. Anyway, so I accompanied him, and he said I could be there if I'm quite in a corner. And oh, absolutely. So we approached Ganymede, but before we passed by Jupiter, and always passing by Jupiter, it's, you feel the presence. I cannot describe it otherwise. The presence of Jupiter. It's the electromagnetic field is so powerful. You feel it. It's like if it's alive. It's like it's always incredible to pass by Jupiter. And then we arrive on Ganymede. The ship. We were in a scout ship, small ship. So we flew over Ganymede a little bit to join a facility. It was in the northern hemisphere of Ganymede. So first, the planet, when you arrive from space, it has brownish colors with a little bit of blues in the brown. And these opalescent blues are reflections of the thin layer of atmosphere. There is a thin layer of atmosphere there. It's frozen. It's very cold, and the atmosphere is like a mist. In some places, there are valleys, there are mountains, mountain ranges. I was told that there is oceans underground that I haven't seen. But we arrived in a valley, but the time we flew over Ganymede, I had the time to see constructions. So I was explained afterwards that these constructions are just the top, and most of the constructions are underground. And so it was different locations with different types of architecture. So belonging to different groups. And indeed, I was told that Ganymede hosts different outposts from different extraterrestrial groups, all positive. I haven't been told about all the groups, but I've been told that there is one about the Galactic Federation of Worlds and one where we were going from the Council of Five and held by the Ginvo people. It's a big facility, very big in the northern hemisphere of Ganymede. We arrived there and we entered a tunnel going into a dome, and then there was kind of a well, and the ship went in it, and we were in an underground landing bay. It was a bit darker. There were a lot of fluorescent, looked like neon light, but it wasn't, probably something else. Yellow and purple. So when we went out of the ship, the airlock opened, and we started to walk down the ramp. I walked down the ramp. My two first steps, the difference between the inside, the atmosphere, the air in the ship, and the outside, there was a difference, and it just aggressed my lungs, and it was very acidic, like vinegar, a bit, a smell of vinegar, and it was a bit burning, and like if you breathe the vinegar. And I panicked a little bit, and Thoran told me, no, don't worry, it's totally breathable for you, you just need to adapt. And I thought in myself, okay, I need to calm down, and I just need to get on with it, that no choice. And in fact, after about 20 minutes, you get used to it because the system adapts. It's strange, but that's how it is. So I followed Thoran to a room. We were escorted by the Ginvo people, who are very nice. They are very slow moves and very quiet, calm people. They all wore uniforms, dark uniforms with a little bit of, I'd say, silver lines here and on the wrist. We arrived to an office where there was a Ginvo officer. So this office was oval, and there was a table in shape of an S. The Ginvo was behind. He was wearing kind of a robe, and behind there was a big window. Could see Jupiter far there. And so Thoran and himself discussed. I couldn't understand what they were saying. It was in a different language. I was sat in a corner, well, nice, not disturbing. But what I saw was amazing. On the table, there was a circle on the table, and a dome, a holographic dome appeared on the top of this circle, this disc on the table, big, I'd say maybe 2 meters wide. And inside there was a hologram of the galaxy, with a lot of lines and curves and little lights. Thoran gave the Ginvo a device. It was an oblong oval device like this, and it contained data. I suppose holographic data, because the Ginvo put it next to the circle on the table, and it changed the hologram. A lot of line appeared everywhere, and they were moving lines and modules inside with their fingers. And I've seen this technology already when piloting a ship. You have these holographic screens, and your own electromagnetism is going to act on the hologram, and you can just, with your finger, move inside the hologram things. So I suppose it was the same technology. My feeling about this meeting was that there was something planned, that they were planning something. I wasn't allowed to know this. Preparing something. That's what I sense. They were preparing something that was going to happen on Ganymede. Afterwards, I was taken to a recreation area, and there was kind of a bar, and we sat there, and and that's when I understood how diversified is the occupation of Ganymede. There were different sort of aliens, like on Galactic Federation of Worlds ship, mothership, different kind of aliens. Some I might never seen before. That which was interesting, because when I'm on one of the motherships of the Federation, and I go in these recreational areas, I see all the aliens, I can identify them. But on Ganymede, no, there were others, probably not from this galaxy. I don't know, I've never seen them. And there were also people from Earth, humans. I think I saw 4 or 5, if I can remember. They were wearing army uniforms. And one had I don't know what branch of the army it is. One guy had this brown, with different patches of colors, brown, green.
Camouflage?
Camouflage, that's it. With lots of pockets everywhere, big boots. One guy had that. And 3 or 4 other guys were dressed in dark blue uniforms. But you could see they were speaking in English to each other. And really Earth people, you can tell them from the other rest of the people. And they were, the blue uniforms were quite tight to the body, with a lot of pockets as well, and black stripes here on the arms, black stripes and the black color. So I saw that, and at the time I didn't ask a lot of questions, because I was, when you're in these situations, information comes from everywhere, smells, visions, sounds, and you're just overwhelmed by everything. But yes, humans were there, and so that's my my experience on Ganymede in October 2020.
Very significant that you met humans there, some of those were in regular military uniforms, army camouflage, as well as wearing some kind of dark blue uniform, presumably belonging to Space Force or some covert branch that has been set up that is working in space. Now, I have been talking with one of my sources, JP, and of course he actually works for the US Army at the moment, and he says that that they've been taken to Ganymede, and he also talked about the upcoming mission to Ganymede before he even went, that he was told that there would be a mission there, and that there was a fleet coming, that there was a very large group of extraterrestrials coming. So this was before he went in this year. And so it matches what you were saying, that back in October 2020, so over a year ago, you were there, and already the preparations and the knowledge was that another group was coming, that they would be making, I guess, a beeline for Ganymede and Jupiter. And so that's very significant. Now, you say you smelt the atmosphere, it kind of like had an acidic smell.
Yep.
Now, that was inside the base at Ganymede,
Yes.
right? The
Yes.
Ginville base. But on the surface, you don't know what it was like on the surface?
I haven't been on the surface.
Okay, so inside it had that acidic smell, and of course you supplied me photos of, illustrations. You made some drawings of the Ginville office, and you talked about, and you also sent me some drawings of tunnels. Is this what you were describing, the tunnel going in? Or is that for the Intergalactic Confederation, the tunnel?
The drawing of the tunnels, I send you. It belongs to a mothership of the Intergalactic Confederation. It's the way to go in. Okay, and so that tunnel, that's going into Ganymede or into Jupiter? Into a mothership. Into a mothership. Oh, I see. I see. The fleet from the Intergalactic Confederation that arrived in our star system is stationary now at the moment between Jupiter and Ganymede, and also the other moon, Io or Io. I saw it actually. It was in the picture. So around these 3 points, and they don't stay all in their motherships. All the officials are welcome to stay on Ganymede, and there I've even been told that they have already a facility on Ganymede, the Intergalactic Confederation. So also, but I haven't been in that one. I have been on board their mothership. The officials are on Ganymede. They are there, they stay there, and a lot of personnel and logistics are welcome in the huge, big Ashtar command base on Jupiter, in the Jupiter upper atmosphere.
Okay, so Ganymede is a place where there is a lot happening, and I just want to mention that there are other sources that talk about Ganymede being a place for different extraterrestrial civilizations having set up major bases and being present. I actually have a book. I visited Ganymede. And this is by Joseph Ibrahim. It came out in 1998, and it really covers the ancient civilizations on Ganymede, the extraterrestrial civilizations there. So this is another source confirming that, you know, there's a lot on Ganymede, and that this is has long been a hub for extraterrestrial visitation. Now we've had your experience that you were taken there in October 2020, and we also have my source JP saying he was taken there, and you know, and this is this person here, Joseph Ibrahim. That's actually a pseudonym. I know his real name, and I'll make that available. He was also taken to Ganymede, and there are others as well. The South American contactees also talk about Ganymede being a base for the they call it the Confederation of Planets. So, you know, there's a lot describing Ganymede, but so now, you know, we have you as a eyewitness to what's up there on Ganymede. So you were taken there in October 2020 for the first time, and you had the encounter with the Ginvo officer. Now you went again in October 4. Thorhan tells you about something coming in to our solar system, and yeah, October 4, he gives you a lot of details. So you want to tell us what it was that Thorhan told you back in October, just over a month ago?
Yes, a year after I went for the first time there, he sent me a vision, because most of the time we have telepathic contact. We're using my device, but it's telepathic manifestation. I mean, I see what he sees, I hear what he hears. And he was on board a ship, and he says, I'm going to show you something now. There is a big fleet that has arrived in our star system. This day I had 2 contacts. First, he told me that the Intergalactic Confederation is arriving in our star system. And the second, later in the day, more specific contact, where he showed it to me, went on board a ship to Ganymede, and he showed me it was an armada of maybe 20 or 30 that I could visually see. Maybe there were more. Big white social shapes, motherships. They were enormous, really gigantic, like typical flying saucers. Enormous, white, glowing white, beautiful. They were there, and they were stationed in between Jupiter and Ganymede. And he said to me, they've come because we've requested them, we sent them the signal that we were ready for them to come. So they came for many different reasons. First, to to evaluate our potential for first contact, because they are going to take care of this first contact. That's the first thing. The second, I'm going to develop this. And the other reason was these people from the Intergalactic Confederation are founder races who have been involved in modifying the human genome and seeding humans a little bit everywhere in the galaxy, and also on Earth. And so they come to see how the kids are doing. I say they come to witness our victory, our work, in coordination with the Galactic Federation of Worlds. And when I say us, it's the Earth Alliance and the Earth Space Military. How we are doing, what's happening now, how have we succeeded in this conflict, this challenge. So they are here to just record this and see what's happening, but also for helping everyone, especially the Galactic Federation, to go to the next step, because apparently the Galactic Federation of Worlds needs their avail to go further in the full disclosure. So how first contact, how that is going to happen. So they are evaluating still at the moment how they are doing this. What has been decided at the moment, and it has already started, is that it's going to, of course, be a soft contact, progressive operation, which consists in showing more and more ships in the sky. So you are going to, it has started. We are seeing more and more and more UFOs in the sky at the moment, and it's the good ones, because the bad ones have been eliminated. It's the good ones. More and more sightings. That's on purpose, and you will see ships that just go like a performance sometimes. And also the Earth Alliance has its big part in the job, is to catch up with the technology. They are going to slowly, progressively integrate the technology that is used in space into Earth everyday life. That the two timelines merge in one. It's like an updated catch-up, you know. So that's what they come for, these people.
Okay, so the Intergalactic Confederation, you were told by Thor Han in October of this year that they were coming, and it's very interesting that we also had that object called Oumuamua that was actually observed by the Keck telescope in Hawaii, and that one of the Harvard astronomers, Professor Avi Loeb, wrote actually a book about it. And it's interesting that the term Oumuamua means advanced scout ship. So, you know, the question here is, well, was Oumuamua part of this incoming Intergalactic Confederation fleet, that it was like literally a scout ship for that, to kind of like let humanity know that we're coming? Because I remember that was one of the things that my source JP told me, because he did talk about the Oumuamua. I never discussed it at the time. I never released what he had said about Oumuamua, but he said that it was coming, and that the military had been told that there's a large, very large, powerful fleet of benevolent extraterrestrials coming in. So that matches what you said. And these, you don't know JP, you never met him. So this is completely independent information, but it corroborates. But I think also it'd be interesting to know, do you think, or do you know of Oumuamua being in any way related to this Intergalactic Confederation fleet?
Well, I had asked at the time, Thorhan, what is this? And he said, it said it's a probe. It's a probe from a very ancient civilization that was there at the beginning of human race. And he didn't say more. So I suppose it's what it is, a probe. Could be a scout ship, could be the same concept, something that is sent to just record and see how things are going. And like you send something in advance to know if the ground is ready for the big artillery to finally come. So that an ancient civilization, yes, that's the cedars, I would say, could be that. It matches anyway.
Yeah, that's very important because Avi Loeb, that Harvard astronomer, he's gotten a lot of attention because of his book and his belief that this was an ancient civilization, or that this scout craft belonged to some ancient civilization. Of course, he hypothesized that, you know, that they sent that hundreds of thousands of years ago and they're probably long gone. But I think he would be very interested to know about your information and JP's information that this scout craft actually belonged to a fleet that was coming in, and that fleet has arrived.
You know, I sent you, I know you will add it to this video. I sent you a drawing, a rapid sketch that day of October 4th, when Thorhan showed me by telepathy the visuals of this fleet arriving and two of the races that were on it. I sent you at the time, I think the same day through Skype, this drawing. So it's dated. And there are these big saucer shapes and also big oblong scout ships. That could be, you know, it really makes me think about Oumuamua. Really makes me think about it.
Right, that's
kind of
one of the
shapes.
Yes, that's one of the sketches that you sent me of the Intergalactic Confederation. So you're told about this incoming fleet by Thorhan on October 4 of this year. And then on October 12, you have physical contact. And so why don't you kind of like tell us about that? I know we've covered it previously, but why don't you just kind of like say, well, what happened with your physical contact?
Yeah, so I was granted the privilege to go and meet them. So Thorhan picked me up that day, and he already had met them privately, and he took me there. Not that time, not on the regular scout ship where we always go, but in a Ohorai spherical ship. And this ship can shift in very high densities. So I think that's why this ship was taken. So because inside of these intergalactic confederation motherships, there are different densities of beings. So that was, I don't know the details, but that's what I was explained. We went there in this spherical ship, which was absolutely incredible, and never been in this Ohorai ship. It's like the walls inside are transparent. You can walk through the walls. It's really weird. So we arrived. They clipped me the density belt straight away as I beamed. So I really think we were in a higher density. I really think. So they clipped it, and I kept the vertigo a little bit, but it just calmed down. I tuned to the atmosphere. Well, anyway, and the ship arrived very quickly in the vicinity of Jupiter. Always amazing to watch the good old giant. Amazing. And then I sent you a drawing of this vision. So there was Jupiter on the left corner, and on the right, the curvature of Ganymede. And very, very far in the bottom, a little red planet. I will explain later. It was Io, the moon Io. And in between, there was this armada, this fleet of huge white saucer shaped motherships that means it's miles and miles and miles and miles. It's I think, well, seeing the Ganymede, you know, the ships were big. We approached under the belly of one, and we slid slowly under it, and we arrived. There was a row of airlocks, but they were entrances of tunnels. That's the drawing I sent you, this one with the tunnels. And it looked, the architecture looked very organic. It was what shocked me. It was different. This architecture, it was different from anything I had seen before. When I am in space, I always encounter very cold and steel and, you know, metal, and it's what's not necessary on a ship is not there. It's the bare necessary on the ships. But there, it was, the ships were beautiful. It was very organic, like vegetal nearly. That was what shocked me. So we went in this tunnel and arrived in the belly of the ship, in a big landing bay. Another thing that shocked me, there were sort of crystalline walls that were shimmering with crystallizations. But that was unexpected, but that was there. And the ship, our spherical ship, just landed, and we went out. The air was breathable and clear. It was all right. And a committee came towards us, and they were composed of different races. I've never seen none of them, ever. There were 5 races that were presenting to us. One was, they were very tall, very tall. They looked like, how to say, very thin, long neck, very high neck, and very high skull. For those who watched Star Wars, the Kaminoans in the Clone Wars, the Kaminoans, it was these kind of beings. That's the reference I can give. These ones, I was told, were the original Patal. And it was absolutely amazing to watch them. And this name Patal has been given to other different races. That's one. Another one was a kind of froggy brown being. There were small grays, but a species of grays I'd never seen before. They had smaller skull, more proportioned like humans, and the eyes were like this. Normally the grays have eyes like this, but they were like this, and very narrow, incredible. And there were 2 humanoids races. One was tall blonde. These were the Aegon. And another one was very tall, like 9 feet tall, white, tall white. These were beautiful. They had white skin, eyes like Asian eyes, very wide, but Asian, thin like this, and blue, long hands and longer arms. The arms were a little bit longer, you know, than our proportions. These were the ones who made contact with us. What I was surprised was the language. It was frequency. It was like, I don't know, radio waves, or, you know, like dolphins. I could hear sounds like dolphins talking, but it was pleasant. And it was frequencies carrying modules of informations. So that's how they were communicating to us, sending this in our head by telepathy, but you can hear as well the frequency. And each module carried images, data, stories, and it was more of a personal interaction regarding to our personal selves. And it was very life-changing. That was first a way of communicating, and then this encounter. I mean, I met many different extraterrestrials, but these ones, it's different. I don't know how to explain. They touch your soul directly, and you are changed. Honestly, I was changed when I came back. So that was my my first contact.
Mm-hmm. Now, very interesting that with this tall white race that you saw, that you met when you were taken into the mothership of the Intergalactic Confederation, that tall white race, that matched the description that Robert L. gave about his contact experience back in 1969, when he spent a year in a cave or in an underground base in the Himalayas, and that was the same group. And he actually mentioned the name, which is again a remarkable corroboration for what you were saying, because he talked about this Intergalactic Confederation back in 1969, that he met them and was spent a year with them, that they had a base, and that they described themselves as the Seeders, as conducting these galactic genetic experiments, and that they were using his his genetic material to possibly seed a race, a human race in another galaxy. So that was very good corroboration for what you say you met in this intergalactic base, or in the mothership. So yeah, very good corroboration there.
Yeah, yes. What I can add about this is that the Intergalactic Confederation and the 9, it's two different things. The Intergalactic Confederation is a group of incarnated extraterrestrial people, even if they are in different densities. Also, they're all incarnated. And the 9, it's non-incarnated supra-consciousnesses that are something totally different. But so the 9 are not part of the Intergalactic Confederation. They are part of nothing. They stand in a void. But the Intergalactic Confederation refers to them a lot like a higher management, superior management. They always refer to them as their superiors because they're aware of their existence. And so the Intergalactic Confederation, they are, I've been told there are 24 races among them. There are many more, of course, but 24 of them are the Seeders, or the founder races, but they call themselves the Seeders. And they're master geneticists. They love genetics. They do genetics. And they engineer life forms from different breeds. And they have engineered so many different types of life forms, and they seed life. They have this passion to develop life, to spread life everywhere. So in our galaxy, they are the ones who brought human life, human genome, first in the Lyra constellation and then to the whole rest of the galaxy. And they like Earth because there, as other rare spots in this galaxy, Earth is a sort of laboratory for them. They lovingly, they're not, as ruthless than the Grace. They lovingly study the evolution of human throughout culture and also consciousness. So that's what they do. And the mantis, the mantid extraterrestrials are part of this intergalactic confederation as well, which is interesting.
That is interesting. So when were you first told that the Intergalactic Confederation comprises 24 cedar races? Well, when were you first told that? When did you learn that for the first time?
I think it was the second contact with them. It was shortly after, a few days after. I think I wrote it October 15. Yes. When there was a lady, a tall white lady who first made contact with me on the mothership. She called me back. She took me again by herself on this mothership, and that's when I got this information about what they're doing. Thorhan had told me a little bit, but she told me this, that what they were doing about genetic engineering and experiments, and there were 24 of them that were doing this. And she said something. She said, we are a lot of different cultures, but not as much diversified as all the life forms we engineer. So that's what she said. She showed me a place in a galaxy where there's no name on this galaxy, it's just numbers, and where she was coming from. So she showed me different things. Yeah, that was at that time. Yeah,
that's great. Very important, actually, because that matches exactly what the Council of Nine told Phyllis Schlemmer, Andrea Puharich, Gene Roddenberry back in 1973-74. They actually described 24 civilizations that are the cedar race, and that these 24 civilizations work directly under the Council of Nine, and that under the 24 cedar races are all these other extraterrestrial races doing all these other things, but the 24 civilizations, and they refer to them repeatedly throughout the Only Planet of Choice, which is the book Phyllis Schlemmer wrote about the channelings of the Council of Nine, describing the 24 civilizations. So you didn't know that. So the fact that it matches, and that they were talking about that as far back as 73, 74. And of course, Gene Roddenberry had a lot of questions about the 24 civilizations, about when they would land and show themselves and so forth. And that was very important information. So yeah, I mean, your information and your contact experiences with the Intergalactic Confederation, not only matches what Robert L. talked about, that French contactee talked about in 1969, but also matches what the Council of Nine was telling Phyllis Schlemmer and these others from 1973 right up until 1993, when the book The Only Planet of Choice was written. So yeah, it all matches.
That's incredible, but I think I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
I think I'm not surprised. Mm-hmm. And the Intergalactic Confederation is back, and the Nine are making contact again. Mm-hmm. So that is very interesting. I had a contact with the Nine, unexpected. I didn't think I would have the privilege, which was very another step in the life-changing process. It triggered a lot the emotional. I can talk about it as well. Yeah.
So just to clarify, you had a second meeting with the Intergalactic Confederation where you just met that female, the tall white female, Una. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it.
Una. Yeah.
Okay. So,
Una. They don't have names, but their names are frequency. So
Okay.
they do not have names. So, but they give names for us to identify them, which are not really, it's just made up names that match the frequency of their real name. But it's like if they were telling you, they wanted to tell you their names in like talking like dolphins, you know, so you wouldn't understand. So Una is the closest translation to, so that's the name she gave me to identify her. Yeah.
So Una contacted you and brought you up for a second contact meeting on their mothership out there between Ganymede, Jupiter, and Io. How did that happen? Can you describe what happened? You were at home, and you know what happened? Did you get a telepathic message, and how did it happen? Just walk us through the transportation.
So it happened. She did that twice to me. The first time, the second time it was linked with the meeting with the 9. But so I suddenly felt extremely tired. It was in the middle of the afternoon. I was well awake, and I felt extremely tired, and I really needed to go and lie down. It was really weird. I couldn't resist it. It was like something falling on me, and I laid down, and a vortex appeared above me, and I tried to fight it, but then I just fell into it, and it's like my consciousness was just propelled. But when I arrived on the other side, I was on the ship physically. It was very weird. I was physically there. I always have this thing to know if I'm really physically or in different density. I tapped my feet on the ground, and it was solid. And I was there, and she was there as well. So I think she pulled me. She pulled me. It's like a teleportation, I suppose, their way. You know, I just fell asleep, and just I remember that was this vortex opening in front of me, like a door, a portal, and I went through it. I was sucked through it. That was like, it happened like this. Very impressive.
Okay, so that was the second meeting with her.
Yes.
And then you had 2 more meetings, but this time with the Council of 9. So why don't you tell us how that happened?
That is very interesting. So that happened in the middle of the night. This one, I woke up, and because I felt a presence, and she appeared physically in my room. I saw this sparkly. She appeared sparkly, and then it was her body herself, tall, super tall, and she sat at the edge of my bed, and I was calm. I went like, oh, cool. It's amazing. And wow. And she sat, and she pointed her finger at me and to my forehead here. And as she approached her finger, she had larger hands, bigger hands. She approached her finger, her index. It started to glow green. There was a green light, like, you know, E.T., you know, the movie, like the green light coming to me. And as she didn't even touch my forehead, it's like if she went through it. And at the moment, there was this contact, this weird contact, the vortex again. And I was there that time. I didn't go physically. It was my consciousness. And that's when I met the 9. When, if you want, I talk about it.
So the contact with the 9 was very significant because they are not a physical race. They are more high dimensional, and that they live in a place called the void. And so you were transported there and had this encounter. And you were told something about Gene Roddenberry as well. So why don't you share that?
Yes. So I think, Michael, you did a video about it, but it's great to be able to talk about that. Mm-hmm. From a human side, my human experience as well. The 9, to give more specific information about them, They are not incarnated. They are above all incarnations. In fact, yes, they live in a place called the void. It belongs to no dimension, no universe, no time. It's void. There's no other word. I think it's the right word, the void. That's how I was presented that word. So they are like behind the scenes. They are plasmic supra-consciousnesses, individuated consciousnesses, but they are part of a group. 9 is a number that in certain cultures signifies multiplicity, infinity, which is very important, interesting. My consciousness was propelled through this vortex to meet them halfway. And I think this lady, Una, she facilitated the connection, and she was there to hold the space and protect me. And thanks to her, my consciousness expanded. Once in this vortex, it was like going through a wormhole, and arrived on the other side. I was just conscious. I had no body. And not only I was only consciousness, my consciousness, but I felt as if I was expanding infinitely everywhere. There was no limitation. It was the void. It was, so there's no limitation. I was expanding, just being, be. And I sensed their presence. There were many different presences, and I saw a sparkly cloud, like sparkle, golden and silver sparkles appearing in front of me. And as it condensed, I felt their presence stronger. The cloud of sparkle condensed, a part of it came out in the front and condensed into human shape. It took a shape of like a pata, like a long, tall being. Green skin and purple eyes. And I knew at that moment that this consciousness was taking a shape to communicate with me, that I felt more comfortable, that I had a humanoid shape to communicate with, that I could relate to. And I knew he was it was a male, doing this to make me feel more comfortable. That they can't take any shape. They can transform into anything they want. So that's something that we need, it's important. And he was there, and it's like if he was waiting that I ask a question. That was weird. The first time it happens to me. So I asked, I don't know, people, when I tell this story, people go crazy. Why did you ask this question? But it was the question to ask, because it was the question I asked. Are you the 9 who contacted Jean Roddenberry? And he said, yes, we are. And the voice was very soft and human. He really, not to scare me. You would think about something theatrical, we are the 9. No, so yes, we are. Wow. And so he explained to me that he said, we are the same ones who contacted him, because we knew that there was going to be a temporal war, and we needed to create a bridge. He explained to me that in the past, they contacted a group of people to create a part of the bridge, to embed the template of our future, to hook and just anchor the timeline of our future in the past already. And there was a template that was given, which was Star Trek series, Star Trek concept. to anchor into the consciousness, the collective unconscious of humanity, a blueprint for their future, that they could really hold on to it. And he said, we created a bridge, and we said that we would be back at the other side of the bridge, at the other end of the bridge, when the time will come and the timeline will be there. And we are back. That's what he said, we are back. Yeah. So this was the bridge.
So Gene Roddenberry, he attended these Council of Nine channeling sessions with Phyllis Schlemmer and Andrea Pajarec and Sir John Whitmore in 1975. And he was asking a lot of questions about the Council of Nine, about the 24 civilizations, about contact and so forth. And, you know, he got some ideas for that. And he actually did write a film script for an encounter with the Nine that he just called it The Nine. And I think that film script probably ended up being part of what led to the television series Deep Space Nine. But yes, the important thing here, I think, is that these channeling sessions were question and answer periods. I mean, Gene Roddenberry, I mean, as far as we know from the briefings that are part of the book that Phyllis Schlemmer wrote called The Only Planet of Choice, Gene Roddenberry asked questions, and as well as all the others, they asked questions. It was only ever telepathic communications with the Nine, but you actually had a physical contact experience with the Nine, and that's unique. But you also mentioned in the timeline you sent me that Gene Roddenberry had something like that as well. What were you told about Gene Roddenberry meeting with the Nine?
I was told that he met them. I understand why, because they created a quantum link, quantum dot. I understand that. That he had a quick contact with them, and then they promised him that he will meet them at the other end of the bridge. The thing is, the timelines. So this thing, I think Thorhan explained it to me. The timelines went a little bit wobbly, and it took more time than they thought, because temporal war, of course. And Gene Roddenberry couldn't make it. So it was very representative that someone marked the bridge, someone who had a contact with the Nine in the past, and a contact of the Nine in, sealed it. And the second choice after Gene Roddenberry, who passed before things could happen, was William Shatner, because he was there at the start, he was there at the end, and he was a symbol. He's a symbol. He represents, this future. Is just. I mean, just for that, that was the best second choice.
Right, that's very interesting. We did cover that. I remember covering that from some of the information you shared, that William Shatner, when he went up on that Blue Origin rocket, that was actually a cover for him joining this delegation to meet with the the Intergalactic Confederation, that he had a meeting with them. But you're saying he actually got to meet with the Nine as well?
I haven't been specified, but probably. He met with the Intergalactic Confederation, but he probably met with the Nine, because he was meant to do the bridge. But when these things happen, it's so, emotionally wrecking and intense that they can protect you by concealing a bit your memories, that it remains like a distant dream. don't know if it really happened,
Mhm.
just because I understand that. Because after I met the nine for the first time, I went through a week of emotional turmoil. It's like all my emotions that were still blocked just were processed. Griefs of people I hadn't grieved, for instance, and I cried for days. I didn't know what was happening to me. It was like an emotional cleansing. And because I'm a shaman, I'm used to identify these sorts of process. I identified it. Okay, yes, I had this contact, and that's the side effect. I just need to let it go. It will go, and it did after a week. But it's emotionally very challenging, I have to say.
Well, now we get to the present day, and you're getting more information from Thorhan,
Yes.
and there's something that you shared which I haven't seen before. On November 9, Thorhan gave you a message. I don't know if you want to read out that message from November 9, or you just want to summarize it.
Yes. Oh, yeah. He told me by a telepathic contact. He told me, and that's first I share. He said Earth, that's message he got from the Intergalactic Confederation. Earth entered a probation period to join membership with the Galactic Federation of World. So they were given start of probation period. We are in probation period. It's not limited in time, but as Thorhan said, the sooner the better. The Intergalactic Confederation will take care of leading the operations of civilian contact, increasing slowly the sighting of their ships in our skies in a very organized way, following a plan. It will be a progressive contact aimed to increase the awareness of the civilians concerning the existence and the presence of other galactic and intergalactic cultures. In parallel, the Earth Alliance will speed up the disclosure of all their technologies, the technologies that are used by Space Force at the moment. And in the right time, the two different speeds of technology will adjust, just to catch up. And that's when he told me about the presence of William Shatner on Ganymede that we just spoke about. Yeah, he mentioned actually that he met the nine. Yes, I forget. Yes, that's a very interesting point. Yes, that's what we covered already. Yes, that's it.
So it's very interesting that back in the 1970s, when Gene Roddenberry was having the meetings, the channeling sessions, and they were getting all this information from the Council of Nine, that the contact was thought to be imminent. It was in the 1970s. They really thought that the world was going to have full disclosure, that the 24 civilizations would be revealed, and that they would take humanity into this new era. That was in the 1970s, and somehow that got aborted. Somehow the timeline, as you said, it was a temporal war. The Dark Alliance saw what the plan was, and somehow they stopped it. They interrupted it. So that's that's nearly 50 years ago that the 24 civilizations were going to show themselves and reveal their role in genetically seeding humanity and helping us join the Galactic Federation. And now, nearly 50 years later, we are back. It's like we've gone through nearly 50 more years of lessons and experiences and a lot of trauma. But now we're at that point where it seems that it's going to happen. We're going to have full contact. We're going to have the 24 civilizations reveal themselves. So, what is it that for the viewers that can make them feel that this is like a done deal, or that this is going to happen this time? That we weren't ready 50 years ago, but now we're ready. So, you know, how do you kind of reconcile that with what's happening around the planet at the moment?
Well, for this to happen, what was really bad and negative on Earth needed to be purged. And to purge something, you need to bring it back at the surface. In 2018, when I had this contact with Thoran, he told me we are helping the bad stuff to come at the surface, you know, for everyone to see it. That's what's happening now. Excuse me the expression, but the shit hit the fan. You know, that's exactly what's happening. The worst, you know, many people are told it's going to get worse before it's going to get better. It's worse now. We are in it. Different sources confirm the same elements, especially in the army. You have some sources. It comes from different sources. Also, you have all these changes in the Artemis Accords, you know, the creation of a space force, things going forward. You have all this technology that's just rocketing, and it's going to go fast. And that's the sign of a future developing in the right sense. When you see what's happening in space, on Earth, all the bad things are coming up to the surface. All the evil plans of bad politicians and, you know, anything else are just being revealed. That we see it and we fight it and we resist it. It's all signs that this is happening. And also what the Intergalactic Confederation said they are doing. They started to show themselves, and the Galactic Federation as well, in our skies. People are seeing more and more and more and more UFOs every day, more and more UFOs. And that's a sign that that's happening, and everyone is starting to talk and with the same narrative, you know. So open your eyes and see what's happening. See what's happening. Raise your nose from the horrible stuff that are being revealed, and look up everything that's happening around above us. That these are signs.
Yes, I agree with you. I think when we look at what's happening in space today with the Artemis Accords, the creation of Space Force and Space Command, the creation of a multinational space alliance, all this points to space now becoming the new frontier for humanity's expansion of activities and consciousness. Because, you know, the thing is, when we as a civilization begin to start to populate space, conduct missions into space, it's not just we're sending technology there, we're sending people out there, our consciousness expands. And it seems that back in the 1970s, we weren't there yet. We weren't ready yet for that. Our consciousness still had to expand. You know, we were trapped in the Cold War, that the world was divided, Eastern and Western blocks. But now we've gone through all of that. We've learned a lot of lessons. And now we are really breaking out into becoming a space-faring civilization. And so this is really what's different, I think, that, you know, the Star Trek future is happening now, as opposed to 50 years ago when Roddenberry was attending those Council of Nine meetings. It was still just an idea. It was a seed that had to be nurtured through his television series, through the channeled information to get out. But now it's actually happening before our very eyes.
Yes, even the logo of the Space Command is, you know, it's from Star Trek. I mean, it's the bridge, you know.
Mm-hmm.
The Federation is being, the Earth Federation, Space Federation is being created with the Artemis Accords. That's what it is. The Artemis Accords are the start of Starfleet. That's what it is to me. It looks really like it. And, you know, we have the power to co-create our reality. When we focus on something like Star Trek, everyone wants, maybe not everyone, but a lot of people want a Star Trek future where the world is in peace, federated countries. And so we focus on it and we dream and we manifest it. That's what the 9 wanted, you know. And there was this program of information also being displayed in the Star Trek in time. Not all at once, you know. Through time, the informations are going out in the series, like Deep Space Nine. When Deep Space Nine came, we were ready, consciousness ready to understand it. If Deep Space Nine concept was out in the 70s or 80s, we wouldn't have been really ready to understand it. But now the concept of, look at that, there's a wormhole, there's a void, there are, they call them prophets. And what's interesting is there are founder races in Deep Space Nine. And also that's something interesting. There's a lot of hints. But look at the logo of Space Command. It's not a fantasy. If it's the same logo as the Starfleet Federation of Star Trek, it's not a fantasy. It's a purpose. It's the bridge. It's the bridge. And you know, Michael, as I was reading again my notes to get the dates of my contacts right, I was writing about the bridge, and I had this idea, this time bridge. You know, we do that with relativity and, you know, linear time, and the bridge. That's the bridge on linear time. That's what the 9 created with Star Trek, the bridge. 1970s, nowadays. That's what happened, what they did, and it worked. They said it worked. Mm-hmm. So things are getting very scary on Earth, but that's part of the process. And we need to look at the stars and see what's happening out there. All the evidences are there. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's very fascinating connections there between, you know, the Council of 9, the 24 civilizations, or the Intergalactic Confederation, the connection with Star Trek and Gene Roddenberry, and, you know, that all took place in the 1970s, and here we are in the 2020s, almost 50 years later, and now the connection with the Council of 9 and the Intergalactic Confederation has emerged again. And, you know, you're clearly a major player or conduit for that, you know, through your meetings. And so that's, you know, kind of fantastic that you're able to share that with us all. We're really, you know, privileged to be able to watch this all unfold piece by piece. And, you know, I get a lot of satisfaction in connecting all the pieces and finding the corroboration, but, you know, you're actually experiencing it. So it's really wonderful. And I just want to kind of acknowledge that and honor that you're having these encounters. And, you know, obviously I would love to have them myself. And I'm sure many people watching would love to have that, but maybe, you know, that's in the future for us, depending on our vibration, and, you know, whether it's with the Council of 9, whether it's with one of the 24 civilizations or with another group that, you know, we're going to have whatever contact experiences we need, you know, given our vibrations and our soul's consciousness and awareness.
Yes, Michael, thank you. You know, the last meeting I had, physical meeting I had with Soran, it was a few weeks ago, a few days ago. It was November 26th. This gave me great hope. Well, I had hope already, but it was really beautiful. You know, I always thought when this official contact with the civilians would come, it would be just the Galactic Federation of Worlds. But in fact, it's going to be the Intergalactic Confederation leading this, because it's a big step it's not just a civilian contact with other races. It's a start, the end of a timeline and the start of another timeline. It's a liberation of a whole species, a whole planet. And what I want to say is that I was on board the mothership of the Galactic Federation, 26th of November, just for a short visit, because Thoran wanted to show me physically something. So I was beamed there, and he walked me to a biodome. There are different biodomes in there. And it was different plants I never seen in my life. It was twilight, and there was incredible perfumes, and it was very disturbing because you know how the brain, when you are in this body has nose cells that give information to the brain, and the brain is going to analyze then, oh, that smells like rose, that smells like iris, that smells like that. But my brain couldn't identify the smells. So I was disturbed. It was disturbing. You don't have the data here in the database, you know. So that first. And then fluorescence of colors. These vegetables were fluorescent in the dark, but not whole of the plants, just the sap. The sap was fluorescent, and it was, you could see the sap fluorescent, and especially at the edge of the leaves. And I was like, wow. And Thoran told me the Intergalactic Confederation people gave these plants to us that we accustom them to the Earth atmosphere, and we have the task to modify their genetics as for these plants not to become invasive, not to reproduce easily, just to stay where they're told to stay. So that's what they're doing. And these plants are going to be one of the gifts offered as an official contact. You will see that. We will see that they will offer plants, and these plants will glow in the dark, and they'll be able to thrive in our atmosphere. Seeing that was exhilarating, you know. That's really happening. That's really happening. And so they will send first humanoid races, and then the weird ones will come after, because, you know, we need not to be too disturbed at first, because there are weird shapes out there.
And I assume these plants that they are gifting humanity, I don't know if it's going to be a food source or a medicinal, but I think probably they would be very nutritious, or if it's a food source, or if it is medicinal, it would probably be very transformative. Or so you don't have any idea of what the function of the plants are?
They have, well, not exactly, but I was told that they are not decoration only. They wouldn't go through trouble for that, he said. They have many properties that will be useful to Earth and Terrans. So I don't know what these properties are, but they will be given for specific properties, not for decoration only, like, you know, bring flowers.
Great. Yeah. Well, that catches us up with all of the experiences that you've recently had. So what's next for you? I mean, what is it that you're working on at the moment, or is there anything you want to announce for the viewers that want to follow up on this information?
Well, I am actually writing about all of this and putting inside all my human experience and my emotional side to try to take people with me, just describe as much as possible the sensations, the thoughts, the emotions, you know, and also so this, and I look forward to new contacts with the 9, because I had this contact. It was November 3rd, and it, you know how they are not in any timeline. So this contact is, I sent you a drawing. It's like a singularity, this contact, that is affecting my timeline. So times to times, I have residual contacts with them. It's like there's the moment I met them, it was like a singularity, and there's a sphere around it with like a grid and nodes. And as my timeline goes, linear Earth timeline, I meet these nodes. So I had already twice information delivered. I feel the vortex, the whole room dissolves, and I'm in the vortex, and I receive this information like images and thoughts, and then it disappears. It's very difficult to reattune, and I write them down. So I think that's gonna happen again, hopefully. So I look forward to this, and I'll share, of course, everything. So that's where I am at the moment.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Elena, for coming back on the show. It's really great to hear from you and to update people on what's happening today. I think it's so important that people have some hope that we really are going to be entering a wonderful new age, and that there's so much to look forward to, that not to be overwhelmed by the negativity around us, but to just look at the many positive things happening behind the scenes, and that once these announcements are going to start coming out, our world will change incredibly fast, and we're going to be really in for a really wild ride. So thank you, Elena, for sharing.